Good morning, everybody. Great to see you together as we wrap up the third and final part of our series, Business Not as Usual. And as we do that today, just want to remind you, if you missed out on one of the first two parts in the series, you can go online at gotothepoint.com where you can watch or listen. And I encourage you to take advantage of the message application guide. It's just a page of questions. It's not intended that you go through every one, but if you're interacting with your small group or in a family setting, or if you wanted to do this with some coworkers perhaps, you could just pick the questions that really stand out to you to help you process the content of the series. So I invite you to take advantage of that. I pray the Lord has used this series to impact all of our lives on some level. That's my prayer, because our goal around here as we come into services like this, and as we open the Word of God, and as we read and study what it has to say, our goal is to take it and make application to our lives. And today we're going to talk about something that can really have application and can make a difference for eternity. And that really is the truth. And so I want you to think about what a blessing it would be for you to be able to help transform the life of a colleague or a coworker or a friend. How could the Lord maybe use you to help rewrite somebody's eternal destiny? I mean, you talk about eternal implications when we talk about applying the scriptures and the message to our lives. That really could be the case. And I want you to let that truth sink in for a minute, that you could help rewrite somebody's eternal destiny. Think about what that would be like. Think about what that would mean. And then I want you to allow the Spirit of God to begin to attach some names, some faces, and some stories to that statement. Who could that mean? Who could that be in your life? We can decide to spend our lives marking time toward retirement, or we could begin thinking about how we could mark lives for eternity. I think many of us want to mark lives for eternity. We want to make a difference, an eternal difference in the lives of others. The thing is, we're just not sure. How do you do that? What does that look like, or what does that even mean? And so how do you live out your faith in the workplace in a way that could very well influence somebody else for all eternity? That's where we're headed today. And throughout this series, we've been talking about a company that most of us are familiar with. It's called Chick-fil-A. And from the start, Chick-fil-A's founder, Truett Cathy, infused the business with biblical ethics and values that come straight from the Word of God. We could have used lots of different businesses. This is not the only one. This is just the one we chose to kind of platform and make a statement and illustrate some of the things that we're talking about. And Mr. Cathy believed that he could change the lives of others by the way he treated people, and he changed lots of lives. He lived by the golden rule. And Chick-fil-A, we felt like, was a company that has certainly operated business not as usual. And that's not to say they're perfect, but if you've ever eaten at a Chick-fil-A restaurant, or if you've ever worked for the company, and I've spoken to some who have, it's very obvious that there's a difference in the way that they do business. They have a counter-cultural approach, you might say, to business. Truett Cathy built a culture that places people over profits. You don't see that a lot in the marketplace these days. People over profits. It's countercultural to the approach of business today in an environment where employees are often seen as a disposable commodity. I want you to think about how it changes things, though, if you begin to look around at the people that work for you, that they matter to God. That changes things. If you begin to think about the people you work for, that they matter to God, it changes some things. If you think about the fact that the people you work with, that you're going to rub shoulders with Monday through Friday this week in many instances, that those people matter to God, it makes a difference in the way that you interact with them. And the same could be true of our customers, our vendors, our competitors, and our colleagues. They all matter to God. People matter to God, therefore they should matter to us. And if we're going to love God and love people like we need to, it just makes sense that marking lives is a far greater purpose than making a living. It's not an overstatement, as I said, to point out that you could influence somebody else's eternity. And it could be somebody in your office or at your job site or on the shop floor. Perhaps it's somebody that you do business with or somebody that will enter your office this very week. So the question is, how do you do that? How do you do it? How do we establish enough credibility to make a difference in the lives of our coworkers? What does it mean to, earn the privilege of being able to talk to our colleagues about spiritual matters? I'm going to identify 4 key factors that I think need to be in place for us to be able to influence others on any level, but especially when it comes to influencing others for Christ. 4 key factors that help us influence others. The first one is this: how we work. How we work influences other people. As Jesus followers whose lives have been impacted by God, we're trying to live according to the principles of God and His Word. We should be the best employees a company could ever ask for, if that's what you claim. And I trust that it is for many of you. But how we work is so important, and Colossians 3 talks about it. It says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for men, since that you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord you are serving. Whatever you say or do it in a way that is a positive representation of Jesus Christ. Make sure you're bringing honor to Him in every aspect and every activity of your daily life, including your work. See, if you claim to be a Christian, you represent Christ to your world. You're a testimony, whether you're an entry-level worker or you're running the company, whether you're a student or the teacher of the class, whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all for the glory of God. Do it to bring honor to God. Do it to bring praise to God. Do it to worship God. See, Christians should do their jobs with excellence. I want to say it again. Christians should do their job, whatever it is, with excellence, just as if Jesus were your supervisor. Because ultimately, He's the one who's going to reward you for your faithfulness. Paul was talking about slaves over there in Colossians 3, and I'm sure some of you can make even greater application now with that terminology than maybe some others. But if you back up to verse 22, it talks about obey your earthly masters. Maybe you didn't think of him like that, but I bet some of you did. You thought of your boss, he or she, as your earthly master, your taskmaster. Obey them in everything you do. And do it not only when their eye is on you to win their favor, but with sincerity of heart and reverence for the Lord. See, when Christians work hard and demonstrate initiative and operate with integrity in the workplace, not only do you become a valued employee, but you also position yourself to have greater influence for Jesus. And that's because competence creates credibility. Isn't that right? Competence creates credibility. People who command the greatest respect in the workplace are the ones who do the best work. I mean, let's face it, if you're a deadbeat at work, if you're always showing up late and you're leaving early and you're passing off responsibilities and you're trampling the rights of your coworkers and you're abusing customers and you're griping to the boss about other people and you're griping to other people about the boss, nobody's going to listen to anything you say about anything, including the gospel. Let's just own that right now. If you had something of monumental importance yourself that you wanted to talk about with somebody at work, wouldn't you go to the person who has demonstrated through their performance at work that they are trustworthy and competent and thoughtful and conscientious and sincere? Of course you would. That's the first factor for influencing others, is to think about, every single one of us, think about how we work. Second thing, if you want to influence others, we need to consider how we act. And I want you to just take a moment and think about, how do you act at work? And if your first word is, act like a jerk, well, then that's a problem. You ought to think about that. And if you're thinking, hey, I'm amazing, well, I wonder, is that true? Is that your perception, or would that be the perception? Are you wanting to, what's going on here? I feel like there's a problem. You're not selling me out, are you? Right from the church office, I'm getting thrown under the bus. If you've got things like that where you're thinking about how you act, it might be good to, just ask some people that work with you rather than you speaking it yourself, get their feedback on it and think about, how do you treat other people? See, if we're going to mark lives for eternity, what we really need to do is find ways to be people builders. And a people builder is somebody that respects and encourages people. Respect and encourage people. We respect people by honoring them. We place high value on people, and we give them the dignity they deserve as people who matter to God. And realistically, that's often a missing ingredient in the workplace or at school or at home. Often there's more humiliation than honor. And people are sent these messages verbally and non-verbally that they don't matter. Kind of that attitude of just do your job, mind your own business, be glad you have a job. You know, statements like those make people feel like they don't matter. But God calls his followers to value, love, respect, serve, honor others, you know, and when we do that, people feel respected. And we respect our colleagues by including them instead of excluding them. And we show respect by refraining from the kind of jokes that demean and dishonor and put people down. We show respect by cheering them on for their contribution. We demonstrate respect by listening to them, by valuing their opinion, and by having their back. And respect also means showing concern for their life outside of work. When you notice others, it's a sign of respect. I remember several years ago, Herb Kelleher was the co-founder of Southwest Airlines. He was the president, CEO, and he had 16,000 employees that all chipped in for a total of $60,000 to buy a full-page ad in USA Today. Several years ago, they did it as a sole purpose for honoring the president of the company, and so in that ad, they listed the things that they appreciated about Herb and his leadership in the company. And they said things like, "Thank you for remembering our names." You know, that means a lot when he remembered their names. "Thank you for helping load bags on Thanksgiving Day." Think it mattered when he showed up on Thanksgiving Day to throw some bags with the people that were working on the holiday? Absolutely it did. "Thank you for giving everyone a kiss," and we mean everyone. I don't know what that one was about. That one makes me uncomfortable. "Thank you for listening." That's big. You know, the CEO, the president, stopped and listened, obviously, to some of these people. "Thank you for being a friend and not just a boss." That says a lot. See, those employees were saying that they felt valued because of the way their boss treated them. His actions communicated that they mattered. That's the Jesus model of leadership. You know, when Jesus looked into the eyes of his followers and said, "I have called you friends," I mean, that communicates. They felt highly valued and respected when he did that, no doubt. We encourage people by letting them know they matter. So let me ask you, do you know anybody at your work that needs to be encouraged? Now, some of you, your mind went immediately to somebody you just thought of. "Hey, yeah, I know somebody that needs to be encouraged. They're going through a tough time right now." But others of you are like, I don't know anybody. I'm going to give you a foolproof way. This is just kind of a side item. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to write it down. But you could take this to work tomorrow morning, and this will help you determine who is it at your work that needs to be encouraged. If you do this, foolproof, you're going to know for sure who needs to be encouraged. You look around your office, you look around the break room, the shop floor, the assembly line, wherever you go, tomorrow morning you look around, and if you see that somebody's breathing, they need to be encouraged. That's true, isn't it? I mean, we all need to be encouraged. Everybody desires that. And if they have a pulse, they could use a little bit of encouragement. And a small gesture of kindness can make a big difference. And see, encouragement doesn't have to be a line item in the budget. It's just simple and it's cheap. Just follow the golden rule. That's all. You know, what would be meaningful as a source of encouragement to you? Just look around and do that for somebody else. Sometimes it's as simple as just acknowledging a job well done. Words of appreciation and affirmation can make a big difference. So we're looking at these factors for influencing others, how we work, how we act. The third one, for those who are taking notes, is what we say. The things that we say. We need to be prepared when God opens the door for spiritual conversations. The Bible is very explicit about this. In 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, it says, "In your hearts set apart Christ as the Lord." Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect. Are you ready to do that? I mean, if Jesus has changed your life and rewritten your eternity, is it possible for you to just stop and tell others what he's done for you? I mean, tell them about your life BC and AC, before Christ and after Christ. Let them know about the difference that He's made in you, how you're a changed person. Be prepared to tell others how to become a member of God's family by establishing a close personal relationship with Jesus Christ. See, we all need to be prepared to explain the source of our hope, because the truth of the matter is people are looking for answers. They're looking for hope. And if you know Jesus, the people where you work need somebody to care enough to point them to Him. And that's what we're about as a church. I mean, we're about pointing others to Christ. And this is not just to say, hey, this is what happens at 311 Myers Street in Seymour every week. This ought to be what's happening in our worlds individually and collectively. So that as we leave this place, we go out of here determined that this week I'm going to do everything I can to point people to Jesus. Wherever I go, whatever I do. You know, that's what it's about. It's about being salt and light. We've been called to be the salt of the earth. We're to let our light shine. And I hope you're out there seasoning and shining in your setting. It's what we've been called to as Christ followers. But we have this personal responsibility to share the good news and the hope we have within us. How we work, how we act, what we say. We're talking about 4 factors for influencing others, and these first 3 are very important, and I hope this connects and makes sense, but these first 3 points are meaningless if we don't get it right on point number 4, and that has to do with who we are. Who we are. And this has been the underlying theme in this series. It all keeps coming back to the issue of integrity. This is about living the life that is in alignment with the Word of God. It's about consistency. It's about your walk matching your talk. See, the world sees right through our hypocrisy. I mean, if you're a hypocrite, if you're saying one thing and doing something else, the world sees that. I mean, if you claim to be a follower of Christ and you hire on at the plant, you can count on it. As soon as they hear that you profess to be a Christian, the hypocrisy radar goes right up and starts scanning your life and watching you every single day, all the things you say, all the things you do. They're waiting to see if what you say you believe and what you do are consistent. In some cases, they're looking for evidence that you're a hypocrite. Maybe they're looking for one more excuse to reject God. They're watching and they're listening to everything you say and do because they want to know when you mess up, when you blow it, when you drop the ball, do you shift the blame or do you take responsibility? They're watching. When somebody crosses you or upsets you, do you retaliate or do you forgive? They want to see what happens when you come to an ethical crossroad, when there's a dilemma that you're confronted with, and there's a question of ethics. Do you take the sometimes costly path of honesty and integrity, or do you cut ethical corners and opt for the cheaper path of rationalization? They're watching you to see what you do. And if what you say and what you do are in alignment. They're waiting to see if your life is characterized by humility or pride. They want to see if you're willing to acknowledge those rough edges of your own character and if you're making a sincere effort to smooth out those rough edges with God's help. They're listening to what you say. They're watching what you do because they want to know something. They want to know if you're authentic. Do you pretend that being a Christian means that everything's always perfect and that there are never any doubts? I mean, what do they find in you? What do they see in you? What is it that shows up on their hypocrisy radar when they point it in your direction? So many of us grew up with a Christianity that was confusing. People said one thing and they did another. They pretended to be very spiritual in public, but behind closed doors, it was a different story. And when there is no alignment between what you say and do, it creates this discrepancy that causes people to turn their back on Jesus and the church. Don't be that person. Nobody wants to be associated with that kind of hypocrisy. And I'm sad to say that I have seen so many people derailed in their spiritual journey because of the hypocrisy of people who profess Christ. But on the other hand, when a non-believer, what I like to call a pre-Christian, becomes associated with an authentic follower of Christ, It changes everything. It's a whole new ball game. Then they encounter kindness and they experience compassion, and because of the love of Christ flowing through us, they begin to experience respect and encouragement. It's what people saw in Truett Cathy when they saw him doing so many amazing things for others. They saw the love of Jesus Christ. See, the people you work with, they're looking for people whose actions match what they say. The people where you work are not looking for perfect. Let me let you off the hook. They're not looking for perfect, but they are looking for real. You hear me? People need to know that God is real, and they discover that God is real when they see that you are real. And when I'm real, that's also when they see that God can be trusted and that He's real and can be a part of their real life. He'll take care of their hurts and their needs. They'll see that He can make a difference in their lives. People don't want to be laughed at and ignored and invalidated and pushed away or pressured. They need to experience something like a level of love and kindness and understanding that can only come through Jesus Christ at work in us and flowing through us. And that kind of thing means you've got to be authentic. And I'm telling you right now, I believe our world is crying out, is longing for authenticity. They need to see you living out a faith that is genuine and real. That's what I love about Truett Cathy's story. In the interview last week, one of his sons said that he was the same at work, at home, and at church. His life was integrated. See, that's what integrity is all about. There was none of this compartmentalizing of his life where it's like, we're going to be this on Sunday, but Monday through Friday, this is how we have to operate in order to make it in the workplace. There was no segregating, separating, fragmenting of his life. There was no compartmentalizing of faith and work and family. He lived with integrity, and he made a difference not only in the lives of others, but also in a corporate culture that is still impacting lives today. See, Truett Cathy knew he could change lives by the way he treated people. He was living by the golden rule, doing unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And this morning, I want you to see one more unexpected story that reveals how he impacted the culture of an entire organization. Take a look at this news story, see what I mean.
But first, an expectant couple had planned their baby's birth for months. But early this week, they were forced to abandon those plans and think fast.
And now their story has gone viral thanks to where the baby was born. Eyewitness News reporter Savannah Louie spoke exclusively with the family and shares their emotional night.
Baby Gracelyn is calm and quiet. You'd never guess she was born into pure chaos.
I realized, oh my gosh, this is happening. I'm going to give birth in a Chick-fil-A bathroom.
That's right, a Chick-fil-A bathroom. The Griffin family was driving to San Antonio's University Hospital Tuesday night, but plans changed during a bathroom break at the Stone Ridge Chick-fil-A off Highway 281 and Evans.
We were able to bang on the door because she kept saying she had to go to the bathroom.
The restaurant was closed, but employees let the 38-week pregnant mother inside. That trip to the bathroom quickly turned serious.
I couldn't really hold anything in.
We're going to do something great, but we're going to do it right here and we're going to do it right now.
And I didn't hesitate for 1 second.
I hear a high-pitched screaming and I'm like, okay, this is serious, this is happening. And I get on the phone with the 911 dispatcher.
Brenda was there that night. She's used to delivering orders, but none like this.
Assistance to the dispatcher over what color is the baby, is it good, is it crying?
Robert handled his daughter's life-threatening obstacles.
The umbilical cord that was wrapped around actually twice.
In just a matter of minutes, the Griffins had given birth to a brand new baby girl right inside this Chick-fil-A bathroom.
Stressfully, but safely. The parents are receiving praise while little Gracelyn gets presents. Free Chick-fil-A for life and a guaranteed first job when she turns 16. But the most special gift of all, something that couldn't be wrapped.
A new friendship, and I want to say it's a friendship for life.
Savannah Louie, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
Well, don't try that at home. That was just last month, in San Antonio, and how would you like that, man, to be able to get, a job for your kid as soon as they're born? They've got a guaranteed job. That's number one for me, but Chick-fil-A for life is not a bad gig either. I like the sound of it. Do you think the store employees are glad they didn't say, go away, we're closed, the door's locked, the lights are going off, we're done? Instead, they were living out their values and the values of the company even after hours. After the store was closed, they knew it was okay to put customers ahead of policies and procedures and protocols. And, Chick-fil-A is not, in the chicken business, they're in the people business. And what a difference that makes. And so I wonder, could a story like that or something along those lines, could it happen where you work? And would it involve you if it did? I mean, what if somebody came knocking at your door after 5 and, when the doors were locked and the lights were out? What are the values? What matters most? Is it really the bottom line or is it people? The employees there at Chick-fil-A, they were just living out the purpose of the company. And we've referenced it, but I don't think we've actually stated that the purpose of Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us to have a positive influence on all who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. Do you think they had a positive impact on somebody that came in contact with Chick-fil-A when they were closed after hours that day? No question about it. And isn't it interesting that their purpose doesn't even have anything to do with chicken? Truett Cathy passed away in 2014, but that company that he built is still making a difference because they value people over profit, and that's why Chick-fil-A is closed on Sunday. They do it to honor God and to allow families to be together, and believe it or not, they are more profitable per restaurant than their counterparts, their competition, who are open 7 days a week. Their per restaurant profit is consistently beating the competition because Chick-fil-A's countercultural approach is making a difference. So do you believe, as we conclude this series, that you can be completely ethical and still succeed in the marketplace? Are business and ethics compatible? Is following the golden rule of an effective, viable business strategy? I hope your answer to each of those questions is yes, because it has been done, and people are doing it, and you can do it too. Because see, as a believer, you represent Jesus Christ wherever you go. The question is, can you say that people see Jesus in you? And if they know you care about them, that'll help them know that He cares about them. And so as we're moving out of this series, I hope you will remember that wherever you go this week, you represent Jesus. Places like Cummins and Value, Valio and Seymour Community Schools, Schneck Medical Center, Rose Acres, Seymour Tubing, Ison, Seymour Manufacturing. Wherever you go, where you go to work, to school, to do business, to live, when people there see you, they will see Him, I hope. I'm sorry to say that has not always been the case in my life. There would be times that people would have said, well, when I saw Steve, I saw somebody that was too busy, somebody that was too distracted, somebody that was too disinterested, indifferent to pay attention to me. And I hate that that's the case. I want to do better, and I believe you do too. We all do. So let's realize that God can use us where we are in a very real way. You and I, wherever we go this week, you're on a self-supporting mission field. As you go into that workplace where you work, you're on a self-supporting mission field. And do you know what will likely cause the people that you work with to come to Jesus? It probably won't be a string of historical facts. It won't be because somebody tried to shove Christianity down their throat. It probably won't be because somebody shared a spiritual post on Facebook. It'll be because somebody like you decided to live with integrity and represent Jesus to the people that you rub shoulders with in the marketplace each and every day, each and every week. And I'm telling you, it can happen any place, anytime, in the break room, in the office, on the assembly floor. It can happen in the classroom and on the job site or in the lab or wherever you might be. Christians pointing people to Jesus, showing them that He's real, letting them know that He cares. Not with platitudes and posts and pretend perfection, but by letting them see the difference that He has made and is making in us. And so the last thing there in your notes, don't settle for marking time when you could be marking lives for all eternity. That's business not as usual. And last Sunday we talked about fun, food, and free stuff. And I know some of you are thinking, well, hey, where's the fun, food, and free stuff? It's about time to get out of here. Well, I've got it right here. This is the first part. Big family meal at Chick-fil-A. Up in Columbus, 4 sandwiches, 4 medium fries, 2 8-piece nuggets, 4 medium beverages. That's some good Chick-fil-A. If you would like some free chicken, would you raise your hand? Okay, I've never seen you guys all get so blessed at church in my life. Remember Truett Cathy's story? We've been talking about some of this. It talked about the fact that he had taught Sunday school. How many can tell me, who could be the first one out of your seat to tell me how many years did he teach Sunday school? Okay, no guessing. If you don't know, I'm gonna have to move on to another question. I've got another one in the back of my mind here, and this one could get a response. What was his little bit unorthodox approach to child discipline? Who could tell me what that was? Anybody? Okay, right here. What was it? He stopped the car on the interstate when they were fighting, made them get out and run to the next exit. Congratulations, you're Hillian. Good work, man. That's a good one. Okay, and now I know some of you are thinking, really? All these people, you give away one meal? That stinks. Okay, we knew you'd think that. So, in the first service, we had 20 Bibles in the front of the seats that had a Chick-fil-A coupon in them, and they were picked through, but 2 of them were not collected, and I have them in my pocket right here. So if you want to look in your seat there, because we need to clean those out. Some of you, it's going to be the first time you've opened your Bible this week. Get it open, and if you find it, I want to get rid of these 2 bonus coupons. You can be looking for that. And then the rest of you, open your worship folder, and in the outline section, listen to me, in the outline section of the worship folder, top left corner, there would be a red Chick-fil-A emblem. How many of you have that? If you do, you can stand up right where you are. Just stand up so we can see how many. All over the place. This is random, scattered all over the place. In the back, what's going on? More of them. Stand up, stand up, stand up. There should be about 20 of you. Pick up your worship folder, the outline section, top left. Anybody else? I know there's more of you. Now, I know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to be hammering the Welcome Center to get all the extra worship folders. Take those worship folders that you have. Good, congratulations, Brian. Take those worship folders after the service when we dismiss just in a second, and you can take those to the cafe table, and Aaron Shelf will be there to meet you to give you a coupon in exchange for that worship folder. So let's give these guys all a hand. Would you do that? Now, did anybody find a coupon in the Pew Bibles? Anybody? Got one right here? Okay, I'm going to have this for you as soon as the service is over. Anybody else? There's one more, and it's the first person that gets it. I was just going to give you guys a chance to be done, and I'll have this one when we're done here in a second. Now, I know some of you are saying, still, I didn't get any chicken. Well, we're going to take care of you too. You can't go to Chick-fil-A today and get chicken because they are closed, but this is business not as usual. We wanted it to be church not as usual, and so as you go, we want you to have a chicken nugget, just a little taste of Chick-fil-A. Everybody gets one, and it's not lunch. Don't get your hopes up. But chicken nuggets, who doesn't want a chicken nugget at church? And so let's all stand together. As you go, there's going to be a video on the screen that's going to have some fast facts about Chick-fil-A. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. Thanks for worshiping at the Point.
so much today.